He was arrested July 19th. 2 weeks later, he would be dead, and a mother's fight for justice would begin.
I didn't even know that my son was dead. He had ligature marks on his neck. His wrists were broken. You can tell that they burned my baby. He did not deserve this.
And as his mother fought for answers, the Chicago Police Department would stonewall her at every turn. Meanwhile, the Chicago Police Department would face scandal after scandal. And in the wake of this tragedy, more and more inmates would begin dying under suspicious circumstances at the Cook County Jail. From the start of his death, the injuries on his body did not match the official version of events the law enforcement gave. So what really happened to Alteriq Pleasant, and exactly who is responsible? Hey, lady.
Thank you.
Let me make sure we can hear you.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I can hear you too. Can y'all hear her? Let me know in the comments. We got 103 people on the live right now. So y'all, again, and correct me if I'm pronouncing your son's name wrong. Is it Alteriq?
Alteriq.
Okay. So we are on the live, y'all, with the mother of Alteriq Pleasant, who in 2022 was murdered, was killed, was brutalized in police custody. First of all, I want to express my condolences to you again.
Thank you.
I am a mother of 3 black sons, and I cannot imagine what you're going through. My heart hurts for you. Like, I had to sit. I saw you on TikTok. I saw you doing a video about your son, and I had to sit and cry. I had to meditate because we could all, I think everybody that saw that video could like feel your pain, especially those of us who are mothers. We can feel it. We can hear it. And I think it's so important tonight that you be on here to tell your son's story. But I wanted to just start by, because I want people to understand that Alteriq is more than just a headline. He is a son, a father. He is a young black man. And so if you can start by just like telling us how he was, like what kind of guy, for those of us who never met him, what kind of guy was Alteriq?
He was a true Capricorn.
I'm a Capricorn.
Yeah, he was a true Capricorn. Very outspoken. I just want to tell you, thank you for even looking at this and having a conversation with me. My son was LGBTQT. He dated people, basically. Wasn't judgmental, very outspoken, rough around the collars, special ed, semi-low cognitive, but able to express himself. The year up to leading to this, he had got arrested. He was arrested for playing his music on the CTA, which is the Chicago Transit Authority platform. And so, because he was smoking a cigarette and playing the radio, the police came and they roughed him up. His girlfriend called me. She thought he was dead. So this is, I'm giving you the backstory to how we got to where we were. And he was arrested and all of the charges were dropped, okay, except for battery of a peace officer. And he said, Mom, I never put my hands on him because everybody knows what happens when you hit a police officer, you go into jail. So he was going to court for that, and from what he explained to me was that according to the last time he went to court, which was May of 2022, the judge had in essence told him that there wasn't any evidence of him battering the police officer. So he had stopped going back to the next court appearances because he kept saying, Mom, they're trying to indict me for this, and I'm not trying to go to jail for 8 years for hitting a police officer. So he went into hiding. He stopped hanging out here in Chicago and he started hanging out up in Evanston. My son lived outside on the street because of what he had gone through over a period of time from being in and out of the juvenile detention center. And one of the ones that we had here in Joliet was actually shut down for the physical and sexual abuse that happened down there. And Alteriq would never tell me because he knows that it would break my heart, you know, to know what happened to him. And so he had went into hiding, and he was telling me every time that he saw me that he felt like the police were following him. He felt like they were harassing him. He had been explaining to me that he didn't feel safe. Chicago police officers have a history of harassing people who are fighting against them for things that they have done to them. It's, you know, stalking them, stalking their family, writing up incidences, rearresting you. There's an incident, there's a history of that here in Chicago. So when we get to July 19th, I had the last time I physically saw him was the day before. I gave him money. I put it on his Cash App so he could buy some clothes, because even if you live outside or whatever it is that you're doing, you're still my son and I want you to look right. I worked for the city of Chicago for 19 years. And I had just retired in March of 2022. So he came because my friends from college came to see us, and so he came over to the house so they could see him. They were, you know, he was his first baby, and he came to see his son, Jalen, and he went outside. He got into some kind of altercation with someone who pulled a knife on him. He didn't have a cell phone on him, so he asked people outside, "Can you call the police to help me because this man's trying to stab me?" They arrived. I did get some of the arrest video footage, some of it.
I saw that.
And as you can see, my son said, "Hey, I don't have anything on me. I do give you permission to search because I don't have anything on me."
Assaulted me,
okay,
man.
with a knife, right?
No, he walked up, grabbed me. We tussled.
Okay.
I said, "Do not go on my bag."
You got an ID?
I have an ID.
That go on your bag, you said ID?
Yeah.
Okay. You got any weapons on you?
You can search me right now. Go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead. I'm giving y'all
you.
permission to search me.
Okay, I'm gonna search your stuff too. Okay, you don't got any weapons in this bag?
There's nothing in there. I'm giving y'all permission to search me. The only thing I have on me is just a lighter. There's nothing in the bag.
Alright. So what happened?
I come down here to meet with my
Yeah, he did tell Seth was that.
Okay. What was the guy? Who was the guy?
nigga in the red.
Okay, we got him.
I was a social science teacher for 19 years. So he knew how to say certain things, you know. That's the last time he was outside. He called me that night. He said, "Mom, I'm sorry I got arrested. Take care of my son. Take care of Grandma and take care of my brother. I know Grandma's in the hospital and I'm sorry because I know that they're trying to indict me for this charge and I didn't do anything to these people." And then he said, "Oh, and by the way, if you see me with bruises on me, that's not the police. I had got into an altercation with somebody." And when he said it like that, I said, "Oh, the police did something to him." I didn't know what time he had got arrested. You know, I didn't know anything because he called me around 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, and I was watching TV, and I got mad because we were supposed to leave town on Friday. So I was like, dang it, how he get arrested? You know, like, what did you do? And then when I looked at the Cook County website, because you can go to the website for Cook County Jail, which is where they take you. They take you to, so each precinct has their own holding place, and then they take you to county jail. Sometimes it takes 24 hours for that information to update. But when I looked on July 20th, I saw that he was there. So I said, okay, well, they didn't shoot him or anything like that, right? So he made it to jail, but he looked dirty, and I didn't understand that, like how he looked dirty. Why is his shirt pink like that? I thought it was the lighting at first.
So can I ask you this, and I don't mean to cut you off. So he was initially arrested on July 19th and taken to the jail on July 20th. Okay.
And it doesn't take that long to do that here in Chicago. You're in process within 6 hours. It takes them because when they arrest you, they book you, they write the charges up at the precinct, and he went to District 1, which is located at 1710 South State Street. Okay. And from there, they take you straight to the county jail. And because he is a documented mental health, he doesn't even go into the general population. They have a whole separate segment in Chicago. It's a multi-million-dollar facility for people who have documented mental health illness. Okay, so my son has a record in the system that states this. I could find out that he did go to court on the 20th and he did go to court on the 21st, and it took me using an investigative reporter to even get those Freedom of Information Act documents. They didn't give them to me. The police had me running all around just trying to get his private clothes. When he was deceased on August 3rd, I didn't even know that he had a medical condition until they pronounced him dead at Mount Sinai Hospital.
Okay, so can we back up? Because I want to make sure that my followers can follow you and that I understand. So he was arrested July 19th. He was taken to the jail, the Cook County Jail, July 20th.
19 hours later. 19 hours later.
Okay, 19 hours after his arrest.
Yes.
And he was deceased, or he ended up being deceased in August.
This is what happened. He had a medical emergency. This is what they're calling it. And I'm trying to get this investigated on July 21st. So he was only in jail about 24 hours before his heart stopped. Somebody gave my son something in there. They didn't tell me this. They moved his body to Mount Sinai and said he had some brain activity. And they pronounced him on August 2nd. I didn't know until August 3rd. Wow. He was already gone. So
you mean to tell me all that time he was in the hospital, nobody called you?
No.
Wow.
They didn't. They found his father's number in Florida. His father got on Facebook. That's how I found out. When I got there, I took video footage of his body and the burn marks that I saw. I said, well, how he get burned? How long he been here? And the nurse, who was very rude to me, she said, well, he's been here since July 21st. I fell on the ground. I said, my boy been here since the 21st of July? And they're just now telling us in August? That's 2 weeks. I could have come to see him. I could have held his hand. I could have rubbed his hair. I could have told him that I loved him.
Exactly. You could have spent time with him. And the fact that they didn't call you all this time also makes me question their story, because I'm like, were y'all hiding something? I mean, what's going on? Why did it take so long to notify the mother?
Yes, he had burn marks on his wrist. He had taser marks on his kneecaps. His neck, you can see the remnants of scratches. Now, I'm saying this to you. I can see it almost 2 weeks later. You can only imagine what it looked like back in July when he got there. I was able to get his clothes from the Cook County Jail. His shirt was brand new in the arrest video. It's pink at the top, and you know that's from blood. He has blood stains on his sweatpants. What'd you do to my kid? Excuse me, I'm trying to not yell.
No, you're fine. You're absolutely fine.
The last time I talked to my child, he asked me to take care of his son. My son, for all his faults, nobody's perfect. I live about 6 miles from the train. He would walk that 6 miles to come see his son every weekend. Every weekend. During the weekday, he would come and sit. Because he would tell me, he said, I don't want my son to not know who I am. He would bring him diapers, strollers, you know, because he knew how to go to the social service agency or to the churches to get stuff. So his son would have toys, okay? He worked for me in my business that I have. He was my delivery person, so he would take my packages to and from the post office. It was always the 4 of us, me, my mother, and my 2 boys. It was just the 4 musketeers. And my mom was in the hospital when this happened. She'd been in the hospital all summer, so he had been going up to see her. He went to see my mother on July 19th. His heart stopped on the 21st. I don't understand if he was given something or somebody gave him something or he took something in jail, why he wasn't declared dead on the 21st.
Exactly. So he was kept alive so when they transported him to the hospital, they had him on life support, some kind of life support.
He had rigor mortis in his body already. The nurse told me that.
God.
He arrived in rigor mortis. His legs weren't straight. His hand was like this. You know how like you might be trying to reach for something? That's how he arrived. His body was already in rigor mortis. What kind of cruelty are you people playing? The only reason they contacted me was so that they could get his organs. They chased me all over the hospital. Oh, I need you to sign this form. If you're telling me that he died of a drug overdose, then somebody else told me he had a heart attack, why would I donate his heart if it's bad or damaged? What are you doing over here? This is Mount Sinai Hospital. You type my name in, I'm on all his contact stuff. If you type my name into Google right now, 50 things are going to pop up. How is it you couldn't find me? You could find me any other time you were looking for him, but you couldn't find me when he had a medical emergency. And then the coroner listed his death as accidental. Do you know how hard it is? So this is how I know that they're all in cahoots. They're all in cahoots. So the Chicago police, okay, can rough you up, burn you, beat you down. Then they drop you off at the Cook County Jail. And I'm pretty sure they're doing this all across America. This is why the story is important and why people need to know about my son. Because I know that it's happening not just to what happened to my child. It's happening to everybody out there who gets locked up. So the police can rough you up. Then they can drop you off at the jail. And if something happened to you at the jail, they're going to erase things. How long does it take for you to give me the freedom for information? I'm supposed to see what happened to my boy. I'm supposed to know. I went to the Chicago Police Department 3 times. My last time going was August 2nd to get his personal possessions. They made sure that they destroyed them.
Wow.
I said, why are you fighting me so hard about giving me my son's stuff back? That's how I knew there was a cover up. Because all I'm supposed to take up there, because I'm not a stupid woman, okay? I know how to read very well. I've got some master's degrees behind my name, okay? All I was supposed to take was an E form from 1710 South State Street. So again, the police officers that arrested my son were familiar with my son. He wasn't a random guy on the street to them. He'd been arrested by them before, okay? They all hung out in the same little area, and the cops would used to sit there. So they knew Al. And so I go, they're supposed to give me an E form a green piece of paper to release my son's property to me. He didn't have a wife. His name ain't on the baby birth certificate, so he ain't got no heir to come get it. It's me, his mother, his next of kin. I went and got the information from the coroner's office that validated that I am his next of kin. I only needed 2 forms. They told me immediately to go get a subpoena. Why would I need a subpoena for my son's clothes? That was another flag for me, that there's some stuff going on with this particular child. Now, my son was the 7th person to die in Cook County Jail in 2022. The 7th person. They are murdering people in these jails. They are murdering people in these jails. And they are getting away with it. So then the county jail can delete your video or not release your video. I'm still trying to get the video from when my son was riding in the police car. Why did it take them 19 hours to take him over to Cook County Jail? Why is it that when he got to Cook County Jail that nobody noticed these burn marks? So either the police burned him in the car or the employees over at Cook County Jail burned my son. Either way, my child, not just mine, probably the other 6 people were hurt in this jail, and nothing is being done about it. Then you go in cahoots. So typically, county takes their residents to Cook County Hospital when there's something going on. The fire department took my son to Mount Sinai Hospital, who still, now let's get to Mount Sinai, they still won't release my son's medical records to me.
Wow.
But everybody's claiming he had drugs in his system. Well, if my son had drugs in his system, where did they come from? So then the coroner told me in in October of 2022, and I have a video on that, and I was crying because I just got off the phone with her. She said, well, I found drugs in his system. I said, 2 weeks later? You found a high level of drugs in my son's system 2 weeks later? The coroner said to me, well, he's on video accepting something from somebody else. I said, well, how do you know what the hell it was? And then when I got the coroner's report, when you read the document, ma'am, you can see that what was in his system is a drug that the Mount Sinai would actually use when they've taken you off the system and they're slowing down your brain waves so that you can transition. But that's what the coroner listed as my son's cause of death. I said, wait a minute, but the hospital gives that to people when they take them off of the respirator. How are you saying that that's his cause of death? Again, people are lying. And nobody wants to tell me the truth. I've been calling and calling. My followers have shut down the coroner's office phone system. They've shut down the Cook County Jail system. We need to know what's going on. And they don't want to release this information because they know it's bad. And that's how I know it's bad. Because everybody is trying to push me to the side. I'm not. This is my firstborn child. I had him when I was in college. I used to walk a mile to the grocery store because back then that was the closest bus stop to where my WIC checks could be canceled. Cashed, 15 cans of milk on each arm and my baby strapped to my chest. He was born in January. You know how cold that was, but I did. I went to college. I went to grad school so I could provide for him. He knew he had mental health issues. He would check himself into, how you could go to the hospitals and they'll take you if you're having a mental episode. He would do that because he would say, Mom, I just want to be better.
So can I ask you a question? And I know this is really hard for you, so you can take all the time that you need. Well, a couple of questions, actually. I guess the first would be, were you ever able to get his property back?
Not from Chicago Police Department, no. Only from Cook County Jail. And in his personal property, my phone number And the number for one of his girlfriends, I have to say it like that because I don't know who it was. He had 2 phone numbers when he went to jail, but they didn't know how to reach me.
Wow.
My son had been to jail enough that, hell, anybody in jail probably got my number because he always told people my number. He always called me. Alteriq called me every day of his life at 6 a.m. If he was locked up, somebody was calling because he knew the rule was you can't go 3 days without calling mom because things happen to people. I never got his stuff back.
Wow.
They destroyed my son's property. What I had was when he arrived, when he went to jail. So in those videos, his book bag and all the contents of his book bag, I never got it back. His watch, his necklace that he wanted his son to wear, I don't have that stuff. They kept it from me on purpose.
All these months later. And I'm glad you brought up the video because I did see the video footage, the body camera footage from the police. And I want to tell everybody who's on here who didn't see it, your son was complying and he was cooperative. At one point in the video, I think they told him to sit on the ground and he sat down just as calm. But were you ever able to get the full body camera footage or just that little portion?
I got 4 of him. So one was when they first rolled up, and then the second one was from, like, they're all like different officer angles. He never spoke out of turn because he had a life. He had a reason to not be in jail. He had a son he was trying to raise. He loved me. He loved his brother. He loved his grandma. That was his life. You know, he was telling me, he said, because he was learning disabled. He said, Mom, I got to learn how to read better because I got to teach my son how to read. If you notice in the videos,
I know you were talking about the video.
Last question. Yeah,
it was about
they turned the sound down.
Oh, wow.
They turned the sound down. Chicago was infamous for that.
Because I remember watching it and they were talking and then you just couldn't hear anything. And I was like, what's going on here? Like, what? And then the video just cuts off. So it just goes black. So we don't know what happened after that. And you know, the thing about that really upsets me too is, because you know, like I told you that I work with homeless people, like in real life, away from TikTok. I think the thing that really upsets me is the fact that they criminalize people with mental illness. They do it all the time. And they criminalize people who are homeless and who are mentally ill. And it seems like this was the perfect example. Like, I hate to say it, but your son called the police for help, or he told someone to call 911 because he needed help. And then they come there and they lock him up. Like, this is what I mean when I say they criminalize people just for having a mental health illness. He reached out to them for help. And this is what y'all do. This is how you react. This is the reality that we live in for Black and brown and POC people of color. This is our reality.
So this is too important. I noticed that whenever I'm trying to spread the word about him, this whole, like, you know, it goes bad. And it's like, this is our reality. You know, my son had a reason to live. He wasn't trying to die. Okay. He had a reason to live. He was excited. His birthday was coming up. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Alteriq birthday, countdown every year. My son called me every day, 9 a.m. Mom, what you doing? Get up. What you doing? I'll meet you at lunch. Last 3 years of my life when I was a teacher, he came and we ate lunch. Sometimes he would bring his little girlfriend. I didn't like that, but he brought him, you know. I don't have that no more. I don't have anybody who goes with me to see the moon, to go to the museums with. I don't have that. He wasn't just my son. He was my best friend. We were conspiracy theorists together. That is missing from my life. My life has been destroyed. My mother, her health has just gone down. That was her first son. She can't think.
She's on dialysis now. I'm not lying when I say this to you. It has destroyed our family. It was the four of us, and we all leaned on each other. Everybody had a role, and we loved him so hard. Got on our freaking nerves some days, but he was ours to do that. And these people think that we're garbage because we're brown. They think you garbage because you live outside. He didn't have to be outside. He chose to be outside. I spent lots of money putting my son in hotels for the weekend. He said, Mom, I want my own apartment, but I'm afraid to be by myself, you know? And I said, I understand, baby. So he would be, you know, he would go back and forth between I want an apartment and I don't want an apartment because it's great to live alone. So I said, well, just go stay with grandma. So he would stay with my mother. She don't have that no more. 5 years. 5 years. She'd be looking for him to come around the corner and to call. She forgot he was dead and she was still sending the Cash App money.
Wow.
Because we took care of him. I would tell him, I don't want my son looking bad. Your mama and your grandmama are both teachers. I gave 19 years of my life to the city, and the city gave me my son back in a body bag wrapped in lies and deceit. It is wrong.
Yes, it is.
I taught kids how to know their freedom. I taught kids about this government, and this government is a freaking lie. They are deceivers. And then they drag their feet like we don't matter. Excuse me. We matter. I vote. He voted. You know, we're following the rules of what the society says we're supposed to follow to raise our kids so that they can be okay when they call the police. And then you want to burn them over a lie at that. He didn't even hit those cops. I got the video footage on that. He never hit those people, but you thought that he wasn't worth anything. So you took the law into your own hand. I'm sorry, it is wrong. These people who have a badge to harass, abuse, and murder us. And they should be arrested and not given. They gave Laquan McDonald's killer 5 years and he served 3 because the wife got on TV and cried and said she didn't know what she was going to do without him. My grandson don't have a daddy.
Exactly. That's the reality. Well, let me ask you this, Miss Willis. Where are you all now? Like, as far as, have you been able to acquire an investigator? What have the police given you any answers? What's happening now?
Sorry.
No problem.
I have been able to get an attorney. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I have been able to get an attorney. I have been in contact with the state's attorney. I will tell you, and I'm going to say this on this live. I have contacted the alderman's office. They don't do nothing. I've contacted the Cook County Commissioner because that's all the aldermen put together. They blocked my number.
Wow.
Okay? Because they're over the county jail. Okay? I have filed all kinds of FOIAs with the Illinois State Police, with the Kwame Cure, whatever his name is, the Attorney Generals, Kim Fox, all these people. None of them respond to you. I've gone to Representative Danny Davis. I'm trying not to use profanity because I want the live to stay up. I want people to understand what's going on here. I've gone to Dick Durbin. I've called the Department of Justice in Washington. I was led somewhere else. I mean, I keep calling people and they do not care about us. It is hard, but I was able to get an attorney. I went through 5. The attorneys get blocked, and because, you know, they'll take your case for free. So people need to know this. I want to tell people this. When something happens to your people, you need to immediately go and start an estate
and get power of attorney. I went through 4 freaking lawyers, and none of them ever filed the paperwork like I asked for them to establish his estate. His estate stuff could have been established back in August. The power of attorney could have been given to me back in August. Like, once you go to court, you can do an emergency action for that. None of those attorneys did that. People kept saying, call Ben Crump. Crump turned me down because Romanucci and Bland dragged me along for 5 months. This is what I want people to understand. They will drag you along. I should have just filed the stuff my dang own self, like I did my divorce and was successful, okay? Because they never filed the paperwork. So I'm still at ground zero. So I finally found someone, and he had actually turned me down too, and then said, okay, to look at this. Like, something is not right here. They are covering up my son's death for a reason. They let everybody else know about everybody else that died up in Cook County Jail. But when it comes to Alteriq, it's all hush hush. And that's strange to me. You know about everybody else that died in Cook County Jail, how they died, everything. You ain't seen nothing about my son other than that 30-second clip that they had me in on Fox News, I think it was. That's it. I said, okay, so whatever happened to my boy was terrible. And they don't want it out. So it must come out. Elohim El Shaddai. I'm not just Christian. I believe in God. And I believe that Jehovah Jireh is going to bring this to light because they're trying to bury it so deep. I know someone whose son just started working over there. And he was just asking, like, wow, man, I hear, there's a lot going on here. Y'all heard about that kid, Alteriq Pleasant? He was told, shh.
Wow.
Don't ask about that one. The person wrote me back and said, girl, it's some stuff with your kid. It must be bad because they trying to bury it. That's why I'm asking everybody, please call Cook County Jail. We need the video footage. Chicago Police Department, we need the video footage. The people, the same way they shut this city down for the cop that was shot, we need to shut this city down over what they're doing in these jails to us black folks, especially, and our black boys, our black men, our brothers, our uncles. They're Sandra Blanding all of us. So the same thing that happened to my son could happen to anybody watching this live. That's how serious it is.
Yeah.
We see people when we think, oh, they're a hashtag, baby. You can be a hashtag too.
Come on. Speak.
Just walk across the street. Get into your car. These people have a system, okay, where they are murdering us. If he took drugs, how'd he get the drugs in jail? You see my son on a camera taking something that could have been rat poison. You could type anything into that system. Because Mount Sinai didn't do a blood test that shows that my son had drugs in his blood. But the coroner said that. Do you see where I'm going with that? They can write anything on your loved one's death certificate. And they've been doing it for years. That's why they're trying to bury this case. But
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, and I'm sorry to cut across you. I know that when your son initially passed away, they kept saying, the police and everybody else kept saying medical, it was a medical emergency.
Right.
Have they ever gone into more details about what they mean by medical emergency?
No,
like what happened?
Nope.
Wow.
Nope.
That right there.
Nope.
That right there.
Nope. And then investigator Adam Murphy, I can say names. Investigator Adam Murphy told me that my son had a heart attack. I said, who have a heart attack at 27? Investigator Adam Murphy told me my son was arrested for a laptop from Evanston Public Library. My son was arrested on a failure to appear in court warrant. But in the Chicago Sun-Times, they wrote that my son was arrested. He had multiple felonies.
Wow.
It was failure to appear in court. Investigator Adam Murphy was there the day that Laquan McDonald was murdered by Chicago police officers. So do you understand what I'm saying about how there is corruption in this city? Okay? Y'all don't even know what that man, whoever that was. But if there were drugs inside of Cook County Jail, Al ain't bring them in there. So who gave it to him? Why wasn't that person written up or something? I keep, well, drugs are in jail and blah, blah. No. In the side of a locked institution, no one should be getting any drugs. I hold accountable the person who allowed the drugs to come in, the person who walked over and handed him something. If my son took some drugs, he was burned and not given any medical treatment.
Wow.
Can you imagine being burned? He had circular burns about the size of a quarter on his arms. He had taser marks in his knees.
Wow.
He was in pain. But you want to write it off like he was just a drug addict. How dare you be disrespectful of the dead?
And this is why I think it's so important. And like, I just admire your strength. I know you're hurting and you're in pain, but some families don't have, they're too afraid to get up and speak publicly. Like, I was reading an article about a family who their son was murdered by the police like 20 years ago. And they're just now talking about it publicly in the wake of the George Floyd incident. And they said they were scared. They were harassed by police. They were threatened. Like, these things happen,
Yes. My son was in hiding because he was fighting that case from that police battery of a police officer. He didn't even want me. He would meet me in places where he knew there was no cameras. He said, Mom, I don't want them. I don't want them to see you. I don't want them to know the car you're driving. Because they were harassing him. And I used to be like, baby, what is you talking about? And he said, no, meet me over here. He was even staying in a different part of the city. So he was like, where he felt like he wouldn't be recognized, And I see why. All those things that we think is science fiction or conspiracy theory, the stuff is true. And they don't mind hurting you or your family. The young man who filmed, was it Eric Garner being choked out? Every time he stood out, he took a foot outside the door. Do you know he was arrested?
I think I remember reading about that. I think he was Spanish or Latino.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he lost his job. He lost his apartment. Because this is what they do. And they're allowed to walk around with these badges on. They should be under the jail because you are supposed to uphold the law, not create it yourself.
Exactly.
Not drive through red lights, not drive around on your cell phone when there's a no cell phone policy. There's nothing like that.
And I looked into the history of the Cook County Police Department, and it's been a lot going on, like you were talking about earlier. A lot.
Over 200 people have lost their lives inside of that jail. I did the research on it. That's in the last 15 years. That's too many. That's too many. Gang stalking by the police is what happens when you fight back with your rights, your constitutional, God-given life rights. They will stalk you, your family. They'll be sitting outside your job. They'll be sitting outside your kid's school so that you can feel threatened. And my son knew this, and he didn't want nobody to hurt us because I have his son.
Somebody said it's happening to me now in the comments. I know I was reading an article about the Chicago Police Department, some kind of drug scandal where like a bunch of officers were fired, and they had one particular sergeant who was I believe he was arrested and charged and put in jail for, he had been basically framing, like he had been arresting and framing young black men for years, for like 15, 20 years. He was doing this and getting away with it, and sexually assaulting people, all kinds of stuff. And then he was finally caught. And when I started looking into the history of the Chicago Police Department, it took me down a rabbit hole that I'm still trying to get out of. It's ongoing. It's like, where does it stop?
It doesn't. And every district attorney, every state's attorney, they all are corrupt and they all turn a blind eye. That's why I call God on all of them. I say, Elohim, look at them. And if you don't know the name of God, he has 72 and one of them is Elohim. And that's where we start with creation. I said, look at what they are doing to your people. I'm not just talking about humans. I'm talking about the original Hebrews, us, the black skinned people.
Speak.
Okay. And if you know anything about my talents, gifts, or abilities, you know, I know that they murdered my boy. I know it. I know some things. I'm not going to say, because I got a lawyer now, I know we're going to be doing some stuff, but I know that they murdered my son on purpose. I know that they did what they did to him because they wanted him to go to jail for those 8 years for something that he didn't do so they could ruin another black man's life. Because it's a system. See, they couldn't keep us in the slavery, but they knew how to put us back into slavery by arresting us and trumping us up on charges that are very difficult to get off of your record. Mm-hmm. So if you got a bunch of felonies, you can't get a house, you can't get a job. So now you're back doing the stuff that you was doing before because nobody is going to let you in the system to make money the right way. So you're back to doing the stuff the wrong way when it's survival.
Exactly.
And this is off topic, but on topic. I got to say this. My son was LGBTQI. I think they had an A on the end of that. Where are they at in this?
Exactly.
Do you think that them dang on police cared that my son was, he would never say it out of his mouth, but he was gay? Do you think you think they cared about that? Do you think they didn't care about that? They saw a black boy. You got up my favorite. This is my favorite picture of him. Wow. This is one of our breakfast dates. We ate all over the city of Chicago because I love to eat. I'm a cancer. We're about food. And I told him when I saw him that day, because I hadn't seen him in a week, right? And I said, boy, you looking sexy, because I remember when he dyed his hair, he was like that. He was my rock star. He was my rock star. He was my punk rock kid. You know, he had on his little blue jean jacket. He was my rock star kid. He listened to all kinds of music. He loved history and science.
Smart.
He loved it.
Smart.
He loved his mother.
And I think what you just said about the LGBTQ plus community not really being there to support Alteriq, I think a lot of that may be that a lot of people just don't know about his story because, like you said, they have covered it up. Even when I Googled his name, there's only a few articles, and I'm just like, what was done to him was so, like, the atrocity of it. You would think it should be everywhere, but they're trying to bury it. So I think a lot of people just don't know.
They are. And then Harvest, I'm going to say it, Harvest, because that lady chased me to the front door to get my baby's organs. I said, I'm not giving you my son's organs. Well, he signed this form. He only signed that card because my mama needs kidneys. And he said, if something happened to me, Mom, you take whatever you need for grandma. But they told us at the time she couldn't get nothing because she's too sick. So why would you want something from me if you say that it's bad? Unless it's on purpose.
Yeah. And probably trying to take his body parts also to cover up things. Like if you were to ever later on get a second autopsy done and now there's body parts and organs missing, that could complicate things, which would help them to cover up what they doing. Like, I'm sorry. People can call me biased. They can say what they want. I understand. I'm the interviewer, so I'm looking at both sides. I am. And I see clearly what's going on. Like, this is not rocket science. We know something happened to him. We know that. And whatever happened, you still don't have answers. It's like the fact that they told you that it was a medical emergency, but all these months later still never even went into detail about what that emergency was. The fact that he was put into the hospital July 20th and you weren't contacted.
July 21st.
July 21st. And you were contacted in August?
August. Wait, I know we got a few minutes left.
Yeah.
I went downstairs to get my father so my father could say goodbye to him. When I stepped off of the floor with my son, because I had to be there, right? So I had to bring the people up or down. They unplugged my son.
Wow.
So I never got to hear his heart stop the second time. And I never got to hold his hand. I couldn't pray as his soul transitioned out of his body. They robbed me of that. When I was asking that lady, please let me back upstairs so that my baby does not go into the light by himself, she said, I don't know what you don't understand. I said, oh, you gonna find out though about this one. They never should have touched the hair on my Alteriq's head. All they had to do was arrest him and take him to jail. Anytime he's ever done wrong and he's been arrested, he's always done his time and he comes out. You took the law in your own hands and you tortured my boy. And then you disrespected him and left his body on the cot in Cook County Jail long enough for the rigor mortis to set in. Wow. Then you move him, you restart the heart, and we know what they do with organs. You restart his heart, knowing that there's brain damage, knowing this. And then you take him not to the regular place you normally go, you take him to a private hospital who doesn't bother to tell anybody anything. This is Chicago, 2022, 2023. Y'all stay prayed up and blessed up.
You're absolutely right. Let me ask you this, because that's a lot. Now, I know this is a heavy conversation, but it needs to be had. Are you willing to take questions from the people who are viewing this live? And if she is, y'all, I'm gonna remind people, I got my moderators on here too, to keep your questions respectful and your comments.
Yes.
Okay, y'all. So if y'all have questions, type them into the chat. Can you see the comments on your side as they come through?
I can, but it would help me if
Okay, so I'll look too. And I'm also looking. So y'all, if y'all have any questions, anything that you would like to ask Alteriq's mother, you can type that into the chat. Somebody said he's so handsome, it's still enslaving us. Exactly, the system, mass incarceration, etc. Yeah.
Thank you. He looks like his father. The punishment for our black brothers and sisters is ridiculous. Yes, they hold us to a more critical standard than they hold everybody else.
I know.
This is true.
One.
I'm sorry, my background is a little messy because I just moved. Yeah, please go to my page and share my post. We have started a website, the Alteriq Pleasant Foundation. On my website, I have a link to please support. I do have a GoFundMe, and it literally reads Defense for Alteriq Pleasant, because I felt like I would need that because I have to start his estate, and estate planning is one thing. So I found an estate lawyer so that we can request through his estate the videos from the government county officials. Adam Murphy sounds like he needs to be investigated. He does need to be investigated. The police in Chicago are extremely corrupt. I'm sorry. My condolences to me and my 3. Your son had a heart attack at 23. No history of heart problems. There's something that's not right there. I did do an independent medical investigation, and they explained to me They gave Alteriq's cause of death as COVID. I did notice when I was at the hospital that he had all the stuff and his phlegm and stuff all in his face and nose. And they explained to me that his body had already started the transition process because there was no more brain activity. But that did not seem like the correct answer to me. The second autopsy investigation did note the burns and all that stuff. And they did say that they found evidence of COVID, which to me would have been he was in the hospital, which also shows me that something isn't right. When I was there, I saw little bugs on my son's body, so I didn't know what that was about, but I did take pictures of that. You need to post on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, trying to find someone who was locked up with him. I have been posting about my son on my page since August. Because this is not right. And they do lie. A couple of months after my son lost his life, another gentleman lost his life in jail. And then we've had another death, 2 more deaths this year in Cook County Jail. I know someone hurt my son for me being an activist. That is true. They do come after activists, me and my 3.
Hello.
Very big, very big.
Yes, they do.
They like
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, they like to silence us.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to have your taxes right. You got to have your car insurance right. You got to have your bills paid up because they like to come to snuff us out because how dare we speak up for the rights that we have earned in this country through our blood, sweat, and tears and labor, generations of labor.
Yeah. Somebody said, can you post your Cash App? Ooh, the comment just went away, but somebody said, yeah, your Cash App. Can you put that in the comments? I'll try to pin it.
My Cash App is in my business name, which is Cypher Flower. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as Cypher Flower. I run everything through my business. Mama.
Hello, can you pin that comment? I'm sorry, I'm talking to my moderator. I'm asking her, because she pinned your comment. You see where she has her Cash App on the library? Can you pin that so everybody can see it at the top?
Yes, Tamika. Yes, Tamika, Miss Tamika Brown. God sits high, and He is coming through Chicago. They are uncovering things. Again, I started off saying, what was it about my son that made them feel like they needed to hide things? It has to be something there. And the only thing I can think is they don't want another George Floyd, so they're trying to bury my son's case.
I clicked on it. So then how can we pin it?
Dr. Rashad Ritchie, I've reached out to different organizations, and people are just overwhelmed. So I would love to protest. Every time I try to hook up with someone, they're either overly busy. I've even contacted the Chicago Torture Foundation. It's the only one in the nation because of the Burge, Richard Burge things that were going on here. One visit, that was it. People are contact Dr. Rashid Ritchie. Okay, I will definitely do that. I have definitely been sending my information out. I've done the West Side NAACP, the South Side NAACP chapter still hasn't called me back, and I've left emails and messages. I've contacted the national headquarters. I'm a teacher by profession, a researcher by nature, so I've definitely reached out. I've sent out flyers. I have a group of 4 people that help me. So we do have a TikTok page for Alteriq, which is called Justice for Alteriq. We are active. It's just, please share the story, because if my son's dead, God help me, can save somebody else's life. His death made.
And what center you love, Miss Willis?
Every day as the sun sets, I have post-traumatic stress disorder because that's what he called me. He never wanted to be buried, so I have my son's ashes.
Wow. Yeah, it's a lot, y'all. It is. Please share this live, y'all. And can you say the name again, Miss Willis, when you get a chance, of the TikTok pages, your TikTok page, and also the one you all have for Alteriq?
My my TikTok page is my business. It's a Cipher Flower.
Can you spell that for them in case they...
CIPHERFLOWER, and I am on all social media. Is because I don't have any private pages on social media once I started my business. And Alteriq's pages, all of his social media and his Facebook page is Justice for Alteriq. Yeah, he's on, we have it on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook is Justice for All, because what happened to him has happened to other people, and it's justice for all. And we want people to know about this because it can happen to watching this. Your son, your mother, your friend can get arrested. They can shoot you in your head while you are handcuffed in the back of a police car and say it is suicide.
Hello. Yes, they can.
And
can you spell Alteriq's name for us? I'm sorry, because I know you said the page name, but I just want to make sure people, Justice for Alteriq, but for people that don't, I just want to make sure they got it right. Can you spell his name?
Alteriq, last name Pleasant. And the hashtag that I've been using is Justice. I also have been talking about it on my YouTube page, which is Justice for Alteriq, is his hashtag. Whatever they say it is what it is, and it has to stop. It must stop. And they don't want it to stop because they've definitely gotten used to doing whatever it is they want to do. And even when we elect people of color into our political system, they too become lax because of money. Everybody has a price. We need to have people, more activists in our political system that will actually speak on the behalf of the common person. My son fit every category. He was a man. He was African American, Hebrew, okay, because that's what I call us, okay. LGBTQIA, he had mental health issues, okay. He's a father, he's a brother, he's a son, he's a grandson. He been through DCFS, not because I abandoned him, because we needed medical assistance that the Chicago Public Schools healthcare just didn't cover. He walked that walk. I walked that walk with my son. There were many people who said, I don't even understand how you still talk to him, the stuff that he does. I almost died having him. I loved him. Alteriq means a pathway to God. Murad, his middle name, means wanted and desired child. His second middle name is Angeline, Angel, and his last name is Pleasant. I'm not saying he was all of those things, because we are who we are, but that was my son. He belonged to me.
Somebody in the comments said, notice they keep putting mental illness on us as a people, but yet nothing is in place but prisons. Hello.
And they closed the places down. The school that I had him in, they fired the teachers. He wanted to be a cook. They fired those teachers. Okay. They opened up these other places, but basically students who kind of didn't fit the regular norm, right? You go to these schools, but there's nothing really out there to support them. I was his only support system. When Mayor Rahm Emanuel came into office, I say names. When Mayor Rahm Emanuel came into office, he shut down all of the mental health centers throughout the city, the places where people could live, like my son. They also have been cutting back on services for people who are documented for mental health. And I'm going to say this, but they can give it to the immigrants. The people who were dropped off on those buses from Florida and those other states, they all got SSI. My son's still been on the SSI waiting list. Wow. They all got Section 8. My son was trying to get Section 8. Here's somebody from a young age, documents. I got medical files on my boy. How he didn't get any of the services, but you can give it to somebody who's a more able-bodied person than my child was. People can come to this country and get $25,000 in a loan with no social security number and housing, but us, where our blood is in the soil, we can't get nothing. We get redlined.
Yeah.
Our children education. You picked the right one to hurt.
Somebody said you are a strong and brave woman. I agree. Bria.
I'm not strong at all. I'm pissed off. My son is dead. I got ashes where I had a boy. I'm not strong. I'm angry. My child is in a $1,000, because that's my baby, platinum earned. That's what I got. That's what I got. I'm pissed off. I'm not strong. I cry every day without fail. I call his name. I call his number. I drive around Chicago looking for my boy. I'm not strong. I'm hurt. And I'm disappointed. And I'm angry. Because my son didn't deserve that. And nobody deserves what happened to him. Nobody's family either.
I think, like, I can't even begin to even imagine what you must be going through, but I think there is a strength in you that you probably don't even see. Just the fact that you're on the platform and form your own platforms and fight so hard, while you have some mothers who may have been too broken up, too depressed, too this, too that. You get what I'm saying? To do those things. Like, you have been your son's. I've been following you. I've been following you on TikTok. I've been watching. You have been your son's biggest advocate. Like, you have more strength in you than I think that you give yourself credit for. And I know that you're hurting, and it's a pain that I'll never know. I'll never understand that because I haven't lost a child. You get what I'm saying? So I can't pretend to. I can empathize with it, but I could never understand it on the level that you do. And so I'm not going to sit here and act like I could, because I can't. My daughter recently went missing, and this is something that a lot of people on TikTok don't know. And it was all over the news. And, you know, when that happened, I was like, oh my, like, now I get how parents feel when their kids go missing, because it happened to mine. I was just like, oh my God, losing my mind. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? But yeah. I think that you have a strength in you that you don't give yourself credit for. I think that you have a fight in you, a push in you, just a will in you to get this story out there and to get answers and accountability. I really do. I really see that in you.
Thank you. I was his advocate.
And you still are. You still are. There's no was. You still are his advocate.
I love him as much as I did the day that I gave birth to my boy. My son had freckles that wrapped around his body. I counted them. It was 127. I love my child. And I wouldn't want anybody else's parent to go through this. Or anyone else whose people are in any kind of institution corporation because what they do to humans in there is inhumane. The drinking water, rats, poor sanitary conditions, even for the females. The females in Cook County Jail can't even get sanitary napkins on time.
Wow.
What they do to people for money, because corporations own prisons and jails.
Privately owned, yeah.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. People were passing away from COVID in there. Amen. I'm sorry. Yeah, we have to speak out, Miss Brown. If we don't speak out and hold people accountable for their actions, who's going to?
Exactly. Hello.
Who's going to? You know?
Hello.
If we sit with our hands and go, oh, I'm too afraid to speak, you go out on your shield. Go out on your shield. Because you speaking could save somebody else's life. So if I can help anybody, I'm telling you now, you need to get an estate established in your people's name. You need to get power of attorney over their estate. Don't bicker about stuff. That's something that, like, what was his name? Khalil Browder. I think I'm saying his name right. The young man out of,
yeah.
you know,
yeah.
they were all sitting there arguing over who was going to be the administrator over the state, so much that they missed the deadline. So nobody received anything for what they did to him for 3.5 years. We got to get it together and work together. But they count on us being disassembled, discombobulated, and uninformed. Take the time that you spend watching those freak-frack celebrities, okay, and learn something about what can happen to your people when they are in jail. What is the contact system? My son should have been able to call me when he got to Cook County Jail. They just passed something here in Illinois, and then they were trying to make everybody think it was going to be the purge. No, it's holding police more accountable about what happens to you the moment that they pull up to that thing. And they're not being held accountable. Why is it that officer was able to do those things to those people for 20 years? You talking about maybe for 20 years, didn't nobody know that he was doing those things to those people? They did. They all turned their head and they all get to collect their pension. Meanwhile, my son is sitting in an urn in my window. But those people who burned my child are going to be able to collect their pension fund? Why is it that when something happens and these police officers do go to court, which doesn't happen that much, and let's talk about COPA. They're not doing their job. Half of they side with the police 95% of the time. The civilians oversight of the police, whatever board.
Review board, yeah.
Right. Those people don't do nothing either because everybody's afraid of the police and what they can do to you. And everybody knows that they do it and they all turn this way. And that's why for the last 150 years, cops have been murdering people. I am now convinced that the only way they let you be a police officer is if you are a suicidal, homicidal killer. I'm convinced
that way. It's damn sure looking that way. Excuse me. Somebody said, has my daughter been returned home? Yes, she was. She was, because I had mentioned earlier that my daughter had went missing. She was found. But yeah, my daughter was missing. It was all over the news. So yeah, I get it. I can get it to a certain extent. Not to the level of what you're going through as a mom. This is just like this is just such a heavy topic, y'all. But like I said earlier, it needs to be talked about. And I'm so glad that Yahweh chose you to be his mom. Like, I'm so glad that you are a voice for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're how I found out about this. I had no idea what had happened to your son until I was strolling on TikTok one day and came across your video. So that's why I said earlier when you said you were his biggest, you still are. You are his biggest, you're keeping his name, his story, all of that stuff alive, and you're keeping it out there. And I think that's what matters. And that's what's hopefully going to help you to get some kind of justice or some kind of, I hate that justice word, but at least some kind of accountability, some kind of answers.
I like what you just said, accountability, because that's what I'm looking for. I want to know who burned my son. I want to know why it took them 19 hours to take him to jail. I want to know who, excuse me, I had a root beer earlier. I want to know who at Cook County Jail saw my son with burns on him and then didn't give him any kind of medical treatment. I want to know these things. And I want to know why you still have a job. I want to know how you get to collect your pension while my son is sitting in an urn. I want to know these things. I want to know why your boss and your boss's boss are still even employed. And I want their pension checks too. No, not $1 is going to bring me my baby back. And I know that I am not stupid, as I pray at his urn every day. Every day. Every day I call my son's name. Every day. That does not change. And it's not going to. And I don't want anybody to tell me ever that it gets easier with time, because it does not. Because every day that passes, my son does not pick up the phone and call me and say, hey, old lady, what you doing today? What we eating today? Did you see such and such on the news? I don't have that. But I can say laws should be changed. I think every person who has gone through this, we all need to get together, because it took 72 cases all put together for Brown versus the Board of Education for something to change. And if it's the Alteriq Pleasant law, if it's the so-and-so law, whatever it is, we need to come together collectively and say, this stops now. I want psychological exams to be given before they can even become. Why are we giving out guns to people who served in Afghanistan? This ain't Afghanistan. Ain't no rockets over here. Why are you putting people with post-traumatic stress disorder on the streets in black neighborhoods? Why are you training them to shoot black people in the training things? Why are you doing that? The police officers should live in the communities that they police in. You should know all the people by name. They should know you by name. Name. And when you, with that gun and that badge, you should be held to a higher accountability for the things that you do, and it shouldn't be swept underneath the carpet.
Exactly.
Because when they changed that law in Illinois, they were changing them around the United States. Did you notice how many cops were quitting the force? Because, see, they didn't want anybody to come and ask them why they were choking people unnecessarily. They didn't want to answer the question, why are you unloading 18 shots into somebody's back who's running away from you? They didn't want to answer the questions of how it is that Dylan, whatever his name is, could kill 9 people and you go take him to get something to eat. But my son sat there for 19 hours with no food, no water, no shower. And you thought it was funny because he was black. You thought it was funny because he was gay. You thought it was funny because he had mental health issues. You thought it was funny because he lived outside. You thought it was funny. People give more respect to a dog than they do to the black man.
That I agree with. I definitely agree with that.
Did they not send Mike Vick? Did they not ruin his life over some dogs? And he wasn't even at the house when it happened.
So devastating unto the criminal. I'm just reading some of the comments. So I'm going to be wrapping this session up because I have a few more things that I have to do today. But I really want to thank you just for coming on, just for agreeing to talk to me. Like I've just been laying back, and we just want to hear your story, but we also want to be able to support you. So I know you had talked about earlier some things people can do, right, to help Alteriq and to help your case. But can you go over that again, if you don't mind, for the people who may have came in late, and also where they can contact you at, if you can go over that again.
You can contact me, and I thank you because you are teaching me a lot right now. I'm a very astute learner of how to even do this kind of interaction. right? So my name is Vicki Willis, and I'm here tonight talking about my son, Alteriq Murat Pleasant. He was arrested on July 19th of 2022, and he's now deceased at the age of 27 here in Chicago, Illinois. The GoFundMe for him, and I will update it. I've been depression as part of the grieving process, so I hadn't really looked at the GoFundMe. But his GoFundMe is a defense for Alteriq Pleasant. My name is there. There's only one GoFundMe for this. I would appreciate if anyone could just call to the Cook County Commissioner's office. I can't give out the number because I've been blocked and sent for harassment, and I'm okay with harassment because this is my baby. The Cook County Commissioner's office, Tony Preckwinkle is over that. She has not helped me. The senator that I was told to contact, Dick Durbin, he has also not helped me. And we've also sent emails and asked for assistance from his office. The Department of Justice, FBI here in Chicago, located on Roosevelt, because my son was LGBTQIA. We do feel that this is a civil rights violation, a medical rights violation. A bunch of people who could have done their job but decided not to allowed my son to die inside of Cook County Jail. His heart stopped on July 21st. It was restarted by the Chicago Fire Department, EMTs, and then his body was moved to Mount Sinai Hospital. I have been fighting to get information for my son. His pages are Justice for Alteriq on TikTok, on Instagram, Twitter. I didn't do a Snapchat for him, and we have a Facebook, which is Justice for All, right? Because what happened to Alteriq in jail and incarcerated happens to a lot of incarcerated people. We are looking to come together with other families who have been facing this issue, who face harassment from law enforcement, poor or no response from their political elected officials who collect a tax salary that we pay. Right? They collect a pension from us for the rest of their life. And they are sitting back and they are allowing, and I'm going to say it, people, Black people especially, but people, okay, to live in inhumane conditions inside of prisons, jails. We want more accountability for the way that officers, police officers, people who are paid with tax dollars, to how they interact with us, even still in 2023. They are still taking lives. They are still lying on documentation. They are lying on reports. They are even lying about the charges that they give you. Let's start there, because my son never put his hands on those cops. And that's what kicked it off. The police officers who lied on that report. The district attorneys who try to push those things, our state's attorney's office who know that these things are going on, and our Black caucuses in every state who are continuing to allow this to happen. And we did reach out to the Illinois Black Caucus because they passed that, was it the SB, I forget the number, 321, whatever the number is, they passed that, but they haven't enforced it. My son should have been calling me when he got arrested and when he got to jail. And whoever is responsible for disseminating poison, fentanyl, in jail, they need to go to jail. There should be accountability on all levels, because you're not being paid with private dollars. You're being paid with tax dollars. That means when you get up every day and you go buy you a soda and you get the Illinois or the city, this tax and that tax and that tax, it's paying somebody's salary. It's paying somebody's pension. And your child, your loved one, this is my child, my firstborn, is in a graveyard somewhere or in an urn somewhere, and somebody's collecting a pension. And this must stop.
Absolutely. Agree with everything you just said. Absolutely. I just want to thank you again, Miss Willis, for talking to me and for speaking out, and I know you don't need nobody to thank you for speaking for your son, because that's your son, but just, I'm feeling so many things right now that it's hard for me to even put into words, but anything that I can do, anything you need from me, I'm there. Like, you got my number, you got my information. I told you, away from TikTok, in my city, I'm an advocate for homeless families. We was just at the mayor's house last week protesting. That video was on my TikTok. So, like, everybody in the city know me. They know how I am. I believe in accountability. I believe in calling people out when they're not doing their jobs. Like, all these things that you talk about, that's me. I live that life in real life, away from this TikTok stuff. But I really just want to thank you so much, just for talking to us and sharing his story. And I just want to give you, or try to give you encouragement, like, to keep going. I know you ain't going to stop anyway, but keep going. And anything we can do, I know I'm going to be calling the Cook County, because I want to know how that is even open. Why has it not been shut down yet? Everybody's dying. What's going on?
Right.
Where's the oversight?
Where is the oversight? Where is the oversight committee? What are you doing? Just like COPA, who are you people? Why are you agreeing 80? I think the agreement rate was like 89% when I last did the research on it. You agree with what these cops are doing. How are you agreeing with somebody being shot 8 times in their back? They got no gun, hands is up, fleeing, and you're like, yep, the cops was correct. Are you serious? You need to be fired and removed too. Yep.
Exactly.
Amen.
We talk about black people. That's why.
Yeah.
You already know how that go.
Yep.
But again, I just want to thank you. I'm hoping that soon, maybe like in a few months or a few weeks, we can do this again. And, you can update us. I know that there's lawyers involved, so I know there's some things you can't talk about. But I would love to have you back on, whenever you're able, just to give us an update. Let us know if anything has changed, if it hasn't changed, moving forward. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be calling Cook County, because they need to be held accountable.
Something isn't right. And we all need to call. Even if you've never been arrested, you ain't got nobody in your family, a life can be saved by a phone call.
Hello.
Pick somebody. I know there was a lady here who was bailing people out with her own money just to get people bailed out of jail. She's like, I don't got a lot, but if their bond is $500 or less, I can bail them out. Help somebody.
Yes.
Other communities do it. Ours don't.
This.
Communities do it. They don't turn their back. They're asking, do they got this? They up there. They standing outside. I was standing outside praying at the prison before wasn't even getting arrested. I was out there standing out there praying for the people inside, because you don't know what they going through. And we know that they hurt people in there just because they know that they can, and they know that there's nobody looking. Okay, but I will definitely text you.
Okay.
I need help assistance connecting with some groups who will come help me at March protests, sit-ins.
I'll come up there. Listen, I'm in DC, but we were just in Wisconsin last year. That's right there by Chicago. So, yes. I'll be traveling. We was just in Ohio 2 weeks ago. I'll come up there if y'all having something, because this is important. We have to do this. It's not optional.
No, it's not. It's not. It could save someone else's life.
That's right. And I've been on the other side of that wall too. But yeah, we're going to have that conversation off TikTok. But I've been on the other side of that wall, pregnant and incarcerated. So I know the things that go on. I've seen them. We talking years ago, but yeah, at one point, before I became an advocate, before I started on TikTok, see, these are things TikTok don't know about me. But I done been on the other side of that wall. So I've seen how so-called inmates, and I don't even like using that word because they're human beings first, but I see how they get treated. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. Things have happened to me. So we definitely going to talk more. We're definitely going to talk more.
Residents in a locked facility, don't deserve what happens to them.
Exactly.
And then your life shouldn't be stripped and messed up because you jaywalked.
Exactly.
You all be blessed. Say your prayers before you go to bed. Thank God for every day that you have. Love on your loved ones. No day. You don't know the day. You don't know the day or the time or the hour when you may not be able to see your people again. You don't know. You take that for granted. I took it for granted that I would just be able to see him in court. And my son is gone. I took it for granted. I said, okay, he made it to jail. I'll see him in court. I couldn't see him. If you don't have the COVID vaccine, you can't go into certain buildings. I don't got the vaccine. I'll talk to you later. You be blessed. May God continue to anoint your head so that you can be an advocate for those who don't have the voice, that your platform grows to millions, that people know your story, how you survive, and that other women who have done what you have done and survived are able to come and talk. God put an anointing on your head to do this.
I appreciate you so much.
Yeah. Unfortunately, our catalyst may not be something that we want. You see what I'm saying?
I
Because you
know.
could have been going in the opposite direction, and then that happened to you, and you came out with fire, and you said, "Oh, wait, I gotta speak." We all get our voices in different ways, and for me, my baby had to die, but I'm here to speak, and I'm gonna be heard.
Right.
Amen. And I
Right. And we stand behind you on this platform right here. We got your back over here. So
thank you. And
I'm gonna call you or text you just to check in on you. Cause I know speaking about this is not easy.
no,
We know you gotta do it, but I can see that it's not easy.
no, because the year anniversary is coming up. But I draw my strength in my faith. Amen. And I talk to you later.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Miss Willis, thank you again.
Thank you. Ashe. Ashe.
This is all video.
I was for the talk. I was like, wait, no, this ain't for the video.
Oh, because I don't know when I'm going to see you again, so. I'll be seeing you like once a week now.